Street Northwest, and less than 2 hours later in the 300 block of N Street Northeast. I want to start by sharing my deep sadness and condolences to the victims of these shootings. Our first victim is in critical condition at a local hospital, and our second victim was killed at the scene. The violence that we saw yesterday was senseless and tragic, and we know that two families are experiencing an unthinkable tragedy. I want to thank the members of the public who came forward and provided tips to MPD to allow them to develop a suspect. MPD worked quickly to identify that suspect and get all vehicle information and photo information out to the press and the community. I also want to thank our regional law enforcement partners who worked hand in hand with MPD overnight on this case. And so with that, I want to turn to Chief Carroll for a law enforcement update.
All right, good morning, everyone. Again, as the mayor indicated, I'm Jeffrey Carroll. I'm the Executive Assistant Chief here at the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C. First off, I want to echo the mayor's sentiments. This is a very tragic circumstance that we're going to talk about today that involves at least 2 incidents that occurred in the District of Columbia and multiple incidents that also occurred in Prince George's County that impacts the entire National Capital Region. I also want to highlight that at this point there is no ongoing threat to the community, and I want to thank everyone who shared information with the Metropolitan Police Department and our law enforcement partners with this. So the events began yesterday evening in the 900 block of K Street Northwest. Members of the Metropolitan Police Department responded at approximately 5:45 p.m. for the report of a shooting. Once on the scene, the officers and detectives began to investigate the scene and the information that we had there, and what we were able to discover through interviewing witnesses and video footage is that an individual who had been sitting in the area entered a vehicle that was parked and waiting in the 900 block of K Street, was in that vehicle for a short period of time, during which they discharged a firearm and shot the individual inside of that vehicle. The suspect then fled from that vehicle, exited, and fled eastbound from the location. The driver of the vehicle then exited the car, walked to the sidewalk where they collapsed, and officers arrived on the scene. From that scene, we began to investigate and determine more information related to that. What we also learned through a subsequent investigation is at approximately 7:05 p.m., this same individual was in the 1000 block of 3rd Street Northeast, where he attempted to conduct a carjacking. In that case, he was unsuccessful, and he fled and ran from the scene. Approximately 10 minutes later, he then was in the 3rd and N Street Northeast area, where he approaches two individuals that are outside of the vehicle, displays a firearm, demands the vehicle, and then he shoots a male individual. He then takes the vehicle and he flees from the scene. The individual that was shot on the scene subsequently is pronounced dead. We begin to immediately comb through video footage, interview witnesses that were there on the scene, and during our preliminary investigation, we start to piece together that this may be linked between the individual that was observed on the K Street scene and the individual on the 3rd and N Street scene. So we began to push out information to the police department, to our area law enforcement partners related to the vehicle that fled from the scene. We also pushed out information on our Twitter related to images of a potential suspect and to the vehicle that fled the scene. At the same time, we're still continuing our investigation over in the 900 block of K Street. On that scene, witnesses approached detectives and provided information that helped us to develop an individual, a potential suspect from Prince George's County who may have been involved in these incidents that occurred. With that information, the detectives began to look into that to find out who this person may be in connections from that. We also, through our information, were able to determine preliminarily it appeared that that suspect had been on both the K Street scene and on the scene at 3rd and N Street. A short time later, the vehicle that was carjacked from the 3rd and N Street homicide scene was located out in Prince George's County. The individual that dumped that car in Prince George's County then conducted another carjacking and began to be in the National Capital Region with officers then looking for that vehicle. We know that at approximately 3 a.m., the vehicle that was carjacked out in Prince George's County, a Nissan Rogue, drove past an MPD vehicle in the area of 295 and the First Street exit near the Blue Plains Water Treatment Facility and shot at an MPD cruiser, striking the vehicle on the driver's side door. The officer was not injured in that encounter, and the vehicle then fled from the area. After that, a short time later, still looking for the vehicle, officers in the National Capital Region were able to locate that vehicle out in Prince George's County, Maryland, where we are aware that members of the New Carrollton Police Department had an encounter with that suspect, ultimately resulting in a police-involved shooting, where they have more details about the actual incident that occurred out there. With that, we do believe that the individual that was involved in the incident in Prince George's County is the suspect that committed the assault with intent to kill here in the District of Columbia in the 900 block of K Street, the attempted carjacking in the 1000 block of 3rd Street Northeast, and the homicide that occurred in the area of 3rd and N Street Northeast. And with that, those are the facts of the case. I would ask that anyone who does have information who may have been in the area of any of these locations, please contact the Metropolitan Police Department to share any video or information they may have at 202-727-9099. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Madam Mayor.
The chief can take any questions.
Sure. Mark?
Chief, could you walk us through again kind of the timeline? Because it seems like there were maybe 4 locations in DC and 2 in PG. So
Yep.
it appears, and correct me if I'm wrong, at 900 K Street around 5:45, you had the first incident. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that's where somebody was critically shot inside the car.
That's correct.
And the suspect fled on foot from there. Then it seems like there was another attempted carjacking, is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Is that Florida and 3rd?
Yes, the 1000 block of 3rd Street of Florida and 3rd Street area.
Okay, was there a shooting there, or?
No, in that case, a firearm was displayed, but there was not a shooting there.
Okay, and then the 3rd location is New York and 3rd?
It's the 1200 block of 3rd Street or 3rd and N Street Northeast, so right up.
Fatal carjacking shooting?
Yes, this is the
And he's
shooting.
riding in the car there?
That's correct.
Okay. At some point after that, he's driving by Blue Plains?
Yes, at approximately 3 o'clock in the morning, that the vehicle that he stole or carjacked from the homicide that occurred at 3rd and N, he took out into Prince George's County. He dumped that vehicle. He got another vehicle. He conducted another carjacking. Eventually, there is a vehicle he's involved in out in the county that comes back in. It's a Nissan Rogue. That is the vehicle that was located out inside New Carrollton. That vehicle drives past the MPD cruiser and discharges a round, shoots at an officer.
Does it hit the car?
It does hit the car on the driver's side door.
But nobody is injured?
The officer was not injured.
Was there a car chase involved at any point?
There was not a car chase involved at that point.
Okay, now he goes back into Prince George's County where he's spotted by New Carrollton.
Yes, there was an encounter with New Carrollton Police. And I should say, throughout the evening, we were coordinating with our law enforcement partners, obviously trying to locate where this vehicle was. Some of the challenges were the multiple vehicles that were changing, and even crossing the jurisdictional boundaries. Some of the methods that we used to try to locate the individuals were not successful.
And is the suspect deceased?
At this time, that's involved in the police-involved shooting out in Prince George's County. I don't have that information. That's something to follow up with the Prince George's County authorities.
I appreciate the time.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, I got one. Mayor Bowser.
Mayor Bowser. This one's for Mayor Bowser.
Sure.
I'm just wondering what you would say to residents here in DC who have heard for the better part of a year about different crime measures that are going into place to try and reduce the crime that's happening here, but then also at the same time see the homicides and carjackings and different outbreaks of violence here.
Well, I think that the chief outlined the involvement of this individual across the region, and we are waiting to hear the full investigation. Obviously, we have a person who has a gun and was discriminate in using that gun in the district, and we have families who are suffering because of it. I'm grateful to law enforcement for finding the suspect, finding the person we believe is responsible, in bringing this to an end.
Good morning. We also had an unconfirmed report of shots fired 295 at exit 1A Pennsylvania Avenue this morning. There was an officer stopped there. Any information that may be connected?
Sure, so that's the one I spoke about. So exit one, yeah, so on 295 to exit one is actually where it was at. A round was discharged and shot at an officer.
So just one incident where?
Just one incident where an MPD officer was shot at.
Thank you.
That's correct.
So Chief, why did the officer not engage in a pursuit after he was fired or he or she was fired upon?
Sure, so I don't have the specific indications from the officer why they did not pursue the vehicle. With that being said, it happened very quickly, and they were able to get a description of the vehicle put out there, but the vehicle was moving very quickly, so that appears to be the indication that we have at this point.
Can you tell us anything about the suspect? You say you identified him. Do you know about any of his, what might have sparked this crime spree and any background on him? Was he known to police?
Sure, so we do have some information related to him. He does have a minor criminal history, both here in the district and in Maryland. With that being said, some of the preliminary information that we have from interviewing individuals is he may have been in some sort of a mental health crisis or having some mental health issues.
Good morning. Can you speak to the use of the real-time crime center in terms of just what happened last night and the response?
Sure, absolutely. So our real-time crime center is not activated yet, but situations like this is where the real-time crime center will be pivotal. And with that being said, the information sharing that it provides. So right now we have our command information center, which is activated 24 hours a day, and that's the hub where our information passes through. But with the upcoming deployment of our real-time crime center, what that will do is, in situations like this, not only we have our internal resources, but our partners like Prince George's County and the other law enforcement agencies will be right there. So that helps to facilitate it more real-time information sharing and the availability to access systems through their liaisons that they have with us. So really, it will enhance our ability to solve these crimes faster and to connect information between the scenes with that.
So at what point do you expect it to launch?
Sure. So right now, tentatively, we expect to launch the Real-Time Crime Center sometime in the middle to end of February or beginning of March. Obviously, we want to make sure that we have everything in place to ensure that it is ready and operational. And with that, I do want to be clear, we do have methods in place right now to share information to get that, but this will really help to enhance what we'll be able to do in the partnerships and that information sharing, really, by having that person there instead of having to call through resources and pass over bolos and informational awareness. They'll be in the same room with us.
Just one more point for clarification, because we're dealing with so many vehicles here.
Sure.
So the third and N Street, where it was a carjacking and the victim was shot and killed,
Yes.
he flees in the car, but then he dumps the car and carjacks another vehicle in Prince George's County, or carjacks another vehicle in DC, and that vehicle is the Nissan Rogue.
Sure. So what happens is he carjacks the Chrysler, the 2016 Chrysler 2000 that was taken to homicide. That vehicle is recovered out in Prince George's County in Tacoma Park. The suspect, he left the vehicle there, and then he carjacks a Toyota Camry in Prince George's County. A short time later, he then orders a rideshare vehicle, and then he carjacks that, which is the Nissan Rogue. So that's why I say it's very nuanced. There are a lot of crimes that occurred in the district and in Prince George's County, and that's why, the information sharing and connections there.
So by my count, that's 3 cars.
Yes, we have the one in the district that was carjacked from the homicide scene, the Chrysler, and then we have, when he got out into Prince George's County, he picks up the Camry, and then he ends up in the Nissan Rogue, which the Rogue is the vehicle that shot at the officer, the MPD officer, at approximately 3 a.m.
Is there any indication that the suspect knew any of the victims in this case?
Sure, so again, this is preliminary, but no, we have no indication that the suspect knew any of the victims that were in this case or had a connection to the locations.
And then can you tell us anything demographically about the suspect? Is it juvenile, adult, DC resident, Maryland resident?
Sure, I can just speak, as I said, because due to the notifications of the next of kin and the situation out in Prince George's County, what I can say is we do know that the suspect is an adult. The information that we have is he does reside inside Maryland, Prince George's County.
Just a quick question. The victim in the incident on K Street, are they still alive or are they dead?
Yes, he's in critical condition, still in the hospital.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One last question. Over the last year, you've had so many of these different carjackings. You've seen the rise in DC. Is there anything that you've been able to put into play over the last 6 months or so that was helpful in this?
Sure, I think the coordination and the partnerships that we built with both our local law enforcement officers and the FBI to share information. In this case, we had a lot of resources, not just MPD resources, but working with our resources, our federal partners as part of the Capital Area Regional Fugitive Task Force to try to locate this individual. And that's things like that are specifically made for this region, right? To have various law enforcement agencies and federal law enforcement agencies working together in an attempt to locate this. So I think that the bringing about the Real-Time Crime Center will help to enhance that, but really it is built on those relationships and the investigations with this. This one was very unique, as I mentioned, because of the motivation is a little different than what we've seen in these other carjackings, where it does appear to be more of a mental health situation than a going out to commit carjackings or to commit a crime for financial gain or to get a vehicle. So it's a little different than what we have seen.
What time is it? Can you go, start from N Street to the first?
We can go over that
course.
when we wrap up, if you still have questions.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Is there any update on the rabbi that was attacked on Sunday at all?
So, yeah, so at this point, we don't have any updates with that, but we can follow up with you and get some more information to you if you have specific questions. Thank you.